My story begins in Cairo, born into a world shadowed by war in 1942. I first saw the light in Cairo, then breathed the salty air of Port Said shores and playing on the beach and swimming in the sea. My earliest memories are of being carried to many different places in Cairo, a land rich with ancient history, only to return to the bustling city, my fate still unwritten. The year 1948 was a turning point. It brought with it fire and fear, the sounds of conflict echoing through the streets. I remember a pivotal ride in January 26, 1952 of that year, the burning of Cairo and the ride all over the city. A moment that felt no secure atmosphere and trouble all over, even though I couldn't fully grasp what it meant. Then came the July Revolution, a seismic event that shook the very foundations of our country. In the chaos, the King Farouk was gone. Live promises were made, but their stories, their spirits, were never truly gone. Through all these storms, through all the cries of a nation in turmoil, I saw the world reflected in my grandmother's eyes. They held so much pain, so much history, yet there was always a flicker of resilience. It was this resilience, this quiet hope, that I carried with me when I finally made the decision to cross the sea. I knew a new life was out there, waiting for me, calling my name. The Suez Crisis in 1956 was another blow by the Suez Canal, Port Said city. It was devastating. My grandmother's house, the keeper of so many of our family's memories, was gone, turned to rubble. But she was a survivor. She moved in with us, her spirit unbroken, and we carried on together. Then came 1967, another war that broke the sky and seemed to shatter what little peace we had. The bridges we relied on were destroyed, cutting us off, making us feel trapped. The despair was heavy, a thick fog that threatened to suffocate us all. But somehow, our faith was stronger. It was a lifeline in the darkness. One day, a miracle arrived in the form of a stamped visa. It felt like the first deep breath of fresh air after being underwater for too long. This was my chance to leave the trials of Egypt behind and sail toward a shore that promised freedom, peace, and a future I could build for myself. Looking back, through all the storms, through all the cries, I see my grandmother's face. I see the tears in her eyes, but I also see the unwavering hope she instilled in me. It was that hope I carried across the ocean, the most precious cargo of all. A new life was waiting, and I was finally ready to answer its call. Thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe for more chapters from this journey. A story begins in the shadows of a world at war. Born on the streets of Cairo and raised by the shores of Port Said, life was a constant journey, a river carrying me south to Upper Egypt, only to pull me back to Cairo, my fate held tightly in its current. The year 1948 arrived with fire and fear. I remember a ride in January that felt like a taste of freedom, but it was short-lived. July's revolution shook the very ground we stood on. Amidst the chaos, innocent voices were lost, but somehow we found our own again. We learned to live through the storms, through the cries, finding strength in the struggle. Then came 1956, and another war raged over the Suez Canal, engulfing all the cities in its fury. I saw the conflict reflected in the tears of my grandmother's eyes. It was then I knew I had to carry our hope across the sea, searching for a new life that was calling out to me. Suez burned, and with it, my grandmother's house turned to ash. She moved in with us, her spirit unbroken, still carrying on with a quiet resilience that amazed me. The year 1967 brought more darkness, breaking the sky and shattering our sense of peace once more. But our faith was a fortress, stronger than any despair. A visa was stamped, a simple piece of paper that felt like a breath of fresh air, a promise of a new beginning. I journeyed from Egypt's trials to freedom's shore, seeking the peace and promise I had dreamed of for so long. Looking back, I see a path forged through storms and through cries, guided by the memory of the tears in my grandmother's eyes. I carried that hope with me across the sea, to the new life that was waiting, the one that finally called me home. Thanks for listening to my story. Please subscribe for more.